Plastic bag caught in the fence again. Ice machine humming through the dark. Like it's been awake all night too. Girl at the register killed the lights at 2. Didn't say much when I paid. Coffee tasted burned near the bottom. Still carried it out in the rain. My wife was dragging slow across the glass, AM static coming in and out. Truck headlights rolling through the fog, then disappearing south. There's an old Coke machine by the side door, buzzing soft beneath the neon. Somebody left half a cigarette there, still smoking in the ashtray when I walk by. Wind pushing rainwater through the light, my jacket smelling like a wet smoke. I sat inside with the engine running, listening to the dashboard rattle some old song loose. Cold wind behind the gas station, southbound under low black clouds. Radio singing through the static, quiet enough to feel alone with it. And every mile keeps stretching farther, past truck stops and faded signs. Like this whole highway don't end nowhere after this time of night. Around 3:17 the rain got heavier, neon bending across the windshield. Coffee cups slid onto the floorboard when the thunder rose somewhere west. Thought about calling somebody once, just to hear another voice, but the station dropped into more static and I kept driving south. Pedal steel crying low through the speakers, cold air leaking through the door. Nothing moving out beyond the highway except those red tail lights in the storm. Cold wind behind the gas station, wet asphalt shining under weak white light. Old blues song floating through the dashboard like somebody barely holding on. And the farther down these roads I wander, the quieter the world becomes, till it's only tires on rainwater and fluorescent lights humming alone. Station sign fading in the mirror, wipers keeping tired time. Cold wind moving through the roadside grass, radio still alive tonight. Tape hiss, engine hum, rain against the windshield, southbound through the dark again. Pretend to flip the chairs up slow, one leg scraping across the floor. That old ceiling fan near the kitchen kept pushing smoke toward the door. Somebody left change in the jukebox, the song still playing low and warm. I stood there longer than I needed, watching rain collect outside the storm door. The waitress carried cups to the sink, didn't say much after 2. She just nodded when I grabbed my jacket, like everybody there already knew. The beer signs buzzed against the window, blue lights shaking in the glass. The jukebox kept singing to nobody, while the last few minutes passed. In the parking lot looked washed out silver under those highway lamps. Cold air moving through the cracked car window, while the engine warmed my hands. Radio static somewhere in the dashboard, county station drifting in and out. I felt better leaving all that noise behind me. Still didn't feel good about it somehow. Truck tires whispered down the frontage road, red lights fading through the mist. I passed the laundromat on Mason, still glowing like it never closed. There was no receipt beside the ashtray, coffee smell still in my coat. The city got smaller in the mirror till it turned into scattered gold. No big goodbye, nobody chasing anybody down, just the wipers keeping time, and empty streets behind the town. The jukebox played to empty chairs long after the room cleared out. I drove south beneath those low clouds, with the radio turned way down. Somewhere near the county line, rain started tapping on the roof, and all the noise back there behind me sounded softer than the truth. Neon fading in the rear view, fog building past the glass, just highway lines and midnight going past. bartender stacked the glasses while the jukebox lost its glow. Someone zipped a heavy jacket, stepping out into the cold. Beer signs buzzing in the corner, rain slipping down the street. The room kept getting quieter with every empty seat. Coffee cold beside the ashtray, smoke hanging near the fan, waitress counting folded dollars in the palm of her hand. I stayed longer than I needed, just listening to the rain. Heavy trucks out on the highway, rolling southbound through the dark. Last cigarette behind the bar. Blue neon on my hands, static waiting in the dashboard. Somewhere out beyond the lamps, nobody talked about tomorrow. Closing time came soft and slow, just wet streets outside the window, watching red tail lights let go. I stepped out into the parking lot, cold drizzle on the hood, the skyline fading in the rear view, just like I knew it would. A freight train past the warehouses, somewhere out on Route 9. I let the engine rumble softly, watching fog drink up the light. Some nights don't break apart, they just slowly let you go. One room at a time, one empty road at a time. Last cigarette behind the bar, radio low against the rain, southbound underneath low clouds, leaving town once more again. The neon shrank inside the mirror as the highway opened wide, and the night kept rolling westward, quiet as the dashboard light. Wipers moving slow, static through the speakers. Last cigarette behind the bar. Somewhere behind me now. Rainwater sliding off the roof, ice machine humming through the wall. Somewhere behind the motel office, the screen door closed once, then nothing. The parking lot stayed wet all night. Yellow light trembling in the puddles. I left the engine running low, just to hear something besides myself. Coffee gone cold in the cup holder, cigarette burning near my hand, static moving through the radio dial, like somebody trying not to talk. A woman at the front desk, locked up early, turned half the lights off before 3. Left a rag beside the soda machine, water still shining near the entrance. I thought about driving a little farther south, but the road already felt too long. So I sat there watching rain collect along the cracks in the asphalt. The parking lot stayed wet all night. Headlights came and disappeared. Blue vacancy glow across the windshield. Nothing really changed out there. Truck tires somewhere past the interstate, low and hollow in the dark. The radio stayed on till morning, quiet enough to almost disappear. Southbound past another closed down diner, fog hanging low beyond the sign. Baritone guitar through an old speaker, soft enough to sound half asleep. I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror, fluorescent light across my face, like somebody who kept missing exits and got used to it after a while. No big reason for staying there, no real reason to leave, just rainwater near the curb and neon buzzing through the mist. The parking lot stayed wet all night, cold reflections under buzzing lights, coffee rings beside the dashboard, smoke drifting near the cracked window. The truck stopped radio somewhere nearby, playing songs nobody requested. I don't know what I was waiting for, but I stayed there anyway. Around 5, the rain finally stopped, but the asphalt still held the light, like the night wasn't finished yet. Soft tape is distant highway noise, baritone guitar fading slowly into static.
tape hits. Air conditioner humming low. Pulled in close to 4 a.m. Wipers dragging slow across the glass. Truck stop coffee in my left hand. Rainwater running off the dash. The woman at the counter looked half asleep. Didn't say much when I paid. Just pushed the room key down the counter. Beneath the cigarette stains, there was mud dried up around my boots. A buzzing light outside the door. Some old country station playing softly from the room beside mine through the wall. The neon buzzed until morning, blew across the parking lot. Headlights moved along the curtains, then disappeared and stopped. I sat there with the TV glowing, without the volume on. Somewhere south of Amarillo, trying to rest my eyes a while. Ice machine shaking down the hallway like it never went to sleep. My coffee turned cold beside the bed, still halfway full beside the receipt. I thought about calling somebody, then let the thought pass by. Could hear 18-wheelers rolling southbound through the wet black highway night. A waitress left out near the diner, then silence settled back in slow. Only the soda machine humming and that blue motel glow. The neon buzzed until morning, flickering through the blinds. Rain shining under truck stoplights like broken dashboard lines. I watched the dark turn gray a little above the empty road. Some nights keep moving through you long after you get home. Radio static on the nightstand, low enough to barely hear. Some preacher talking through the static, then an old George Jones somewhere. Morning coming through the curtains, cold against the room. Neon finally losing color while the highway carried on. The neon buzzed until morning. as machine humming through the wall. Blue light under the motel door. Some truck shifting gears out on the highway. Still raining a little. Left Amarillo after closing time. Coffee sitting cold beside the steering wheel. Couldn't keep a station long enough to matter. Just weather reports and static coming in and out. The clerk downstairs looked half asleep. Didn't say much when he handed me the key. Room 11, second floor. Ice machine right beside the stairs. Boots left by the heater. Jacket hanging off the chair. There's a cigarette burning slow in the ashtray. More smoke than fire now. Somebody's television bleeding through the wall, low and distant. Like another lonely room staying awake. I ought to get some sleep, but my hands still feel the highway in them. And the ice machine kept humming, steady through the fluorescent dark. Neon trembling in the puddles outside. Headlights rolling past the curtain slow. I just sat there listening, too tired to turn the television on. Whole motel breathing soft around me, like nobody here was really resting. Half a sandwich wrapped in diner paper, sitting on the dresser by the lamp. Rainwater drying silver on the guardrail outside room 11. Some diesel engine started somewhere down below, then drifted south into the fog. I watched the vacancy sign blink a few more times till everything in the room started feeling far away. Places like this all start looking the same after enough miles. Same buzzing lights, same burnt coffee, same men standing quiet by the window, trying not to think about home. And the ice machine kept humming, like cold air moving through an empty church. Blue reflections shaking on the ceiling from the sign outside the parking lot. I stayed there listening while the highway kept carrying people west, and the night kept hanging over everything without ever saying why. Ice machine humming through the wall. Radio finally gone quiet. Rain fading off the windshield. Somewhere close to dawn. The humming, the neon, and the room staying cold till morning. Coffee cups under fluorescent light, count 'em and yawning near the pie case sign. Rainwater drying on my boots, been driving since somewhere past Baton Rouge. Woman in a denim jacket smokes outside, headlights drag slow across the blinds. Coffee taste burnt still keeps me warm. That's about enough this close to dawn. Waitress asks if I'm heading far. I look out toward the park, semis and shrub. She fills my cup without another word, like quiet something everybody learned. Ice machine humming through the back room wall, old country song barely there at all. My motel key beside the salt, hands still shaking from the road. Coffee cups on the fluorescent light, blue-eyed glow in the middle of the night. Nobody laughing much in here, just tired voices and disappearing rain. And the highway still rolls through my head, even sitting still instead, like the tires never really stop. After nights like this, truck stop clock says 3:18. Couple truckers drifting off to sleep. TV weather flickers without sound. Cold front pushing southbound. My jacket smells like smoking rain. Ashtray full beside the change. Outside the neon buzzes low, like it don't wanna stay awake no more. Somewhere past the counter light, coffee steams into the silence. Nobody asking where anybody's been tonight. Coffee cups under fluorescent light, blue-white glow and tired eyes. Wet parking lot beneath the sign, fog moving slow past the highway lines. And for a minute I let myself sit. No radio noise, no driving wind, just the sound of cups and fluorescent buzz, carrying the rest of the night. fading slowly into silence. Bartender killed the jukebox first, and the neon signs one by one. Smoke drifted out the back door into the cold, long Route 9. Somebody dragged a chair across the floor. A bottle rolled somewhere in the kitchen. I stood outside with my keys a minute, watching headlights slide through the mist. That waitress wiped down the counter slow. Didn't say much when I left, just looked up for half a second, like she already knew I'd be back. The parking lot still smelled like rain. Beer signs buzzing through the wall. My jacket carried smoke and fire grease from sitting there too long again. I got inside the car, cold steering wheel in both hands, radio static under the engine noise, heater barely breathing yet, smoke drifting past Route 9, blue lights shaking in the puddles, the town fading softer behind me, every mile or two. No big ending waiting out there, no reason to drive this slow, just tires moving through wet darkness and the radio staying low. There was an old coffee cup by the seat, receipts slid around near my boots. I drove south beneath the power lines while fog swallowed the shoulder lanes. A truck passed somewhere to my left, red lights disappearing quick. I almost turned around once when the song changed on the radio, but the bar was already gone by then, just neon glow behind the fog, and that quiet feeling that shows up after everybody finally leaves. Smoke drifting past Route 9, AM voices drowning in static, low clouds hanging over the highway like they got nowhere else to go. No angels in the rearview mirror, no lesson hiding in the night, just another empty road unwinding past the edge of town. The lighter slid across the dashboard, rain started somewhere ahead, and the last of that neon glow fell behind the trees. Smoke drifting past Route 9. Smoke drifting past Route 9. Rainwater dripping off my sleeves, coffee spinning black beneath the light. Radio low behind the kitchen wall. Nobody at the counter tonight. Pulling slow beside the ice machine, engine ticking in the rain. Vacancy sign buzzing through the window like it hadn't slept in days. There was ketchup drying on the table, couple receipts beside the phone. Somebody left the back door halfway open, cold air drifting through alone. Nobody at the counter tonight, just burnt coffee and fluorescent light. My hand's still stiff from holding that wheel. Some roads take a while to leave. Headlights crossed the parking lot once and disappeared back into the rain. Everything felt half awake in there, like the whole place knew my name. Old man sleeping near the cigarette machine, hat pulled down across his face. Coffee cup stacked beside the register, dust hanging through the haze. I kept staring at the wet floor tiles, listening to the cooler hum. Thought about calling somebody, but it was way too late for anyone. Somewhere south of Amarillo, the night just settled in my chest. Didn't feel broken, just too tired to keep heading west. Nobody at the counter tonight, only neon trembling white. Truck tires singing past the station, static floating through the night. Coffee gone cold beside my elbow, rain still running off the sign. Didn't feel lonely all at once, just nobody at the counter tonight. Radio still talking softly, kitchen light beginning to fade. I sat there a while without moving, till the rain finally changed.
Ice machine humming down the hallway, blue lights shaking through the blinds. Somewhere outside another engine started. Nobody at the counter tonight.
Last chair up on the table, bartender wiping down the rail. Some old country station playing low. Through a speaker near the kitchen. I stood a second by the back door, smoke hanging in the yellow light. nobody talking much by then. Just ice melting somewhere behind the bar. My change folded in my shirt pocket. Keys cold from sitting on the counter. Rainwater moving through the parking lot, past a rusted Chevrolet. The waitress shut the coffee machine off. One motel sign buzzing down the road. Somebody laughed out in the alley, and the whole place went still again. Baritone blues after closing time, low strings rolling through the dash. That old neon fading in the mirror like the night was finally giving out. Wipers dragging slow across the glass, southbound under broken clouds. I cracked the window just enough to let the cold air move around. Gas station glowing at the corner, blue lights shaking on wet concrete. Radio static between two stations, and then an old voice drifting back in. I kept driving past the warehouses, past the last lit bar downtown. Engine humming soft beneath me, streetlights thinning mile by mile. Didn't feel lost, didn't feel alright either. Just tired enough to keep driving. Hand piss, highway noise, rain against the windshield. Nobody needing anything from me. Baritone blues after closing time, empty road beneath the wires. Coffee smell still on my jacket, neon sinking behind my eyes. Headlights moving through the drizzle, low clouds over county lines. That old guitar riding beside me, like it had nowhere else to go. AM radio glow, rain on the hood. Another truck stop waiting somewhere further south. radio fading under static, southbound again. Stop near the state line, truck stop half lit in the fall. Coffee tasted old and bitter, like it'd been sitting there for hours. Woman behind the counter barely looked up when I paid. Neon buzzing near the ice machine, somewhere behind the wall. A man asleep in the corner booth, cap pulled down past his eyes. TV glowing without sound, blue light across the floor. Rain kept dragging down the windows, wipers moving slow and tight. Every mile started looking like the one before. Thought about calling your number, held the phone a while, and set it back beside the cigarettes without saying much. Cold air leaking through the door frame, hands stiff around the wheel. The nights the highway feels so long it doesn't seem real anymore. Another night near the state line, another town going dark behind me. Radio singing through the static like it almost knew my name. Southbound through the heavy rain, dashboard glowing soft and pale. Everything's still moving forward, except whatever I came here to lose. Scarf still on the passenger seat, smelling faintly like smoke. I keep meaning to throw it out, never really do. Some preacher talking through the static, then an old slow blues song, low baritone guitar humming underneath the storm. Parking lot full of standing water, fluorescent lights shaking in the puddles. Dog asleep beside the diesel pumps, never even raised its head. No big answers waiting out here, just headlights and bad weather. Coffee gone cold beside the seat, and miles that keep unfolding. Another night near the state line, another empty roadside station, neon floating through the rain, like a memory not sitting right. Southbound under low black clouds, hands locked tight around the wheel. Trying not to think about you, somewhere past Amarillo now. Rain easing off a little, radio almost gone. State line fading in the mirror, while the highway rolled on. against the glass. Rain on the windshield, radio fading under static, southbound again. Stop near the state line, truck stop half lit in the fall. Coffee tasted old and bitter, like it'd been sitting there for hours. Woman behind the counter barely looked up when I paid. Neon buzzing near the ice machine, somewhere behind the wall. A man asleep in the corner booth kept pulled down past his eyes. TV glowing without sound, blue light across the floor. Rain kept dragging down the windows, wipers moving slow and tight. Every mile started looking like the one before. Thought about calling your number, held the phone. Rain moving sideways past the pumps, radio low. Engine ticking after the drive. Pulled in a little before sunrise, hands stiff from holding the wheel. There was water dripping off the payphone. Beside the ice machine, coffee smelled burned near the counter. Some old guy coughing in the back. Waitress looked half asleep herself, refilling ketchup bottles slow. I left my jacket in the truck cab, too tired to go back out. Just stood there warming my hands on a paper cup gone soft from steam. Rain across the truck stop lights, blue shining on the puddle ground. Simmons rolling through the darkness without making much of a sound. The woman at the register asked if I was heading far. I said just south a little ways and watched rain slide across the cars. Booth number 7 still had crumbs, and a newspaper folded open. Someone left 2 quarters by the jukebox, like they meant to come back. My shoulders ache in quiet ways after nights like this. Static drifting through the speakers between old country songs. There's a photograph inside the glove box, been riding there for months. I almost looked at it tonight, but let the dashboard stay shut. Rain across the track stop lights, cold glow under buzzing signs. Coffee getting weaker by the minute, same as my eyes. Outside the highway kept moving like it always does. Wet tires humming through the dark, heading somewhere I'm not sure of. Nothing really happened here. That's probably why I stayed a while. Just rain, coffee, and the sound of trucks passing by. Pedal steel drifting softly, sky turning gray above the station, fog sitting low near the road. I paid my tab and stepped outside into the smell of rain and diesel smoke. Truck stop lights fading behind me, radio static, southbound.